argue, except for a man who had built $1 million lie and feared the truth more than he feared God. The doctor's gamble would lead to a courtroom drama that exposed the rot at the heart of the American dream, where greed could turn a healer into a monster. Chapter 10: The Art of the Heist. While bank accounts and identities were being drained, a more tangible form of wealth was being targeted in the cold storage units of Fine Arts Express. The art heist wasn't about a thief in a mask climbing through a laser grid. It was an inside job, a betrayal of trust that turned masterpieces into bargaining chips. Fine Arts Express was supposed to be a sanctuary for the priceless. Collectors, museums, and estates trusted them with canvases that held the history of the human soul. But the greed that infected the Denver meth trailers had a sophisticated cousin in the world of high-end logistics. Investigating the missing pieces was like chasing ghosts through a gallery. The thieves didn't just take the paintings, they replaced them with silence, manipulated shipping manifests, and a complex web of lost inventory. It was a heist that relied on the very thing Jim Stickley preached, the assumption of legitimacy. If you have the right clipboard and the right key, nobody asks why you're moving a Rembrandt at 3 in the morning. Chapter 11: The Teller's Prayer. For Jeanne England, the Wheaton bandit wasn't a professional or a tactical mastermind. He was the man with the gun who stole her breath. On the day of the third robbery, Jeanne looked at the door and saw the nightmare made flesh. The bandit stood there, steady and commanding. She couldn't bring herself to look at his face. She stared at the floor, her hands clasped in a silent, desperate prayer. "I know you have more money," he said. His voice wasn't a scream, it was a cold, flat statement. "I have no more money," she whispered, her hands shaking so hard she thought her bones would rattle. When he saw the dye pack in her drawer, the bandit's composure slipped. For a second, the professional vanished, replaced by a snarling, nervous animal. "What do you think I am? Stupid." Jeanne had prayed he wouldn't get so nervous that he would shoot. She lived through it, but the memory became a permanent resident in her mind. Every time a customer walks in with a heavy coat or a quick stride, she feels that cold hand on her heart. She didn't lose her money that day, but she lost her sense of peace, and that was a debt the bandit could never repay. Chapter 12: The RV on the Desolate Plains. 25 miles outside of Denver, in the flat, wine-swept desolation of the plains, Agent Danya Davis stared at an RV. It was a rusted, claustrophobic shell that smelled of chemical fumes and old laundry. Inside was Kim Merritt. When the agents entered, they didn't find a high-tech hacker hub. They found a woman surrounded by the wreckage of a dozen lives. Credit card applications, bank statements, and social security numbers were strewn across the cramped space like confetti. And right next to them, as predictable as the sunrise, was the meth pipe. "Did you use anyone else's social security number when you opened this?" Davis asked, holding up a fresh account document. "No, ma'am," Kim said. Her eyes were darting, her skin sallow from the drug. "That's legit. Because you know I'm going to check it, Kim." The tragedy of Kim Merritt wasn't just the $140,000 she had stolen. It was the all-consuming lifestyle. The drug sat there, a constant temptation that turned a human being into a scavenger. She stole to stay high, and she stayed high to forget what she had stolen. When the handcuffs clicked, the same sound Virginia said had heard months earlier, Kim didn't fight. She just sighed. The fix was over. Chapter 13, The Architecture of a Lie. The task force for the Wheaton Bandit continued to churn through suspects. Agent Cayley and Agent Forkas lived in a world of indexing, balaclavas, and police scanners. They studied the way he moved, the way he parked his car on one-way streets, the way he used inclement weather as a cloak. He's a professional bank robber. The Department of Justice classified him. But to the task force, he was a puzzle with a missing piece. They looked at the surveillance tapes and saw the outlines of body armor. He wears that because he expects a fight, Cayley noted. He's prepared to exchange gunfire with us. That's the most alarming part. They wondered if he was one of them. A cop gone wrong. A soldier who brought the war home. The hypothesis was a bitter pill to swallow. If he knew their tactics, if he knew how they investigated, he was always 2 steps ahead. The $50,000 reward was a lighthouse in the dark, hoping to catch the eye of someone who knew the man behind the mask. But as the robbery stopped in 2006, the bandit became a myth, a ghost story told in the break rooms of Illinois banks. Chapter 14, The Silent Auction of Souls. The art heist at Fine Arts Express wasn't just about camas and oil. It was about the erasure of cultural memory for the sake of a quick buck. The investigation led by federal agents revealed a systematic gutting of private collections. It was a slow-motion crime, occurring over months in the quiet, climate-controlled darkness of the warehouse. The thieves were methodical. They knew which crates wouldn't be opened for years. They understood the rhythm of the facility. They didn't just steal, they curated their own illicit gallery. By the time the first owner realized their Picasso was a high-quality reproduction, the original had already passed through 3 different hands in the European black market. This isn't about passion for art, an agent remarked, looking at the empty frames. It's about the liquidity of beauty. To them, a masterpiece is just a very expensive stack of $100 bills. The betrayal cut deep. For the collectors, the loss was personal, an amputation of their family history. For the thieves, it was just another successful transaction in a career built on the assumption that nobody is really watching. Chapter 15, The Surgeon's Cold Edge. Back in Chicago, the walls were closing in on Dr. Martinez. The federal audit of his clinic hadn't just found clerical errors, it had uncovered a vast, pulsating fraud. The millions he had extracted from insurance companies were the lifeblood of his decadent existence, the penthouse overlooking the lake, the vintage wine collection, the hollow prestige. But the fraud was